So I asked, and you guys provided, got a bunch of questions and answers for you guys. So, ready, set, let's go. Hey everybody, Lemony Vengeance here, and like I said a couple weeks ago, I was willing to take a couple of questions, just in a kind of a good-spirited, good-natured video type thing, so that I get away from the workbench, and then I'm here, I'm talking to you guys. So I asked through my Instagram, my Twitter, and my Facebook page for questions, and Instagram and Facebook seem to be the most popular place to get information or get questions on Twitter. Then again, I don't really do a lot of stuff on Twitter except for like cross-pollinate all my posts. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, I won't feel bad because I really don't interact very much through Twitter. If somebody sends me a direct message or if they comment or reply to my tweet, I'll interact with them, but it's not like I spend every 15 minutes tweeting. That's crazy. That's also what Instagram is for. Well, I'm gonna hit Instagram first, and I'm just gonna go straight down the list. So this one is from Christian D. Oliveira. He said, what advice do you have for owners of less common cabinets like the OG Namco Excelina? Impossible to find parts. Is it better just to go after more common stuff like the Sega and Taito cabinets? 12 cabinets at the height of my insanity, by the way. So, to the 12 cabinets comment, I say, did you like remove furniture from your living room and have cabinets inside your front room? I'm not knocking you if you did. I know people who do that in real life, and it's cool. I don't care what you do with your cabinets and whatnot, so long as you're not, you know, using your kids' food money and grocery money, whatever, to pay for cabinets. So, as long as you got your priorities taken care of, you're okay. But the advice that I have for owners of less common cabinets, just surf Yahoo Auctions Japan, play around with your search terms. Don't search in English, because a lot of times you are not going to be seeing what you want. So search, use use Google Translate to translate things into Japanese, and then search for that in the in Yahoo Auctions Japan. Other things that you might want to do are join up a couple of the arcade forums. Arcade Projects is one. The Arcade Otaku is really good for those of you who are in Europe. Even Americans, there's a lot of Americans on there. I'm a member, and I guess you could call denizen of the Neo Geo forums. It was really my first place where I was able to learn about import arcade collecting, cabinetry, and maintenance of things. I've gotten to know a lot of really good people inside the arcade community, and that's my suggestion. Just get to know people. Get to know the people who import stuff from Japan regularly. I'm very fortunate in that I live close by Ken, who owns thegameroom.com, and that's actually where I got my first arcade cabinet from, and my fourth arcade cabinet and fifth arcade cabinet. Yeah, so I got a few arcade cabinets from him. His prices are climbing. He doesn't tolerate a lot of BS either. There are people who have mixed stories with him, but luckily for me, I've been able to go to his warehouse and, you know, pick things out by hand. So my suggestions are this: Yahoo Auctions Japan, just to recap, and getting to know the people in the community. Because the people in the community will be able to say, hey, I know this dude has this Excelina that's, you know, missing parts and he just wants to part it out. Do you want to buy it for a beater cab so that you can rebuild it, or do you want to pick it up so that you can get parts off of it? That type of thing. I've come across that quite often. So I hope that answered your question. And I wouldn't say it's impossible to find parts. It's just really, 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 really difficult. Only focus on the cabinets that you want to get and not the cabinets that are easy to get, because you're not going to feel fulfilled. And besides, you just pick up the cabinets to play the games anyway. So that's like saying I want to have a bunch of Rolls-Royce Phantoms in my garage just to look at. Do you really want to do that? No, you want to drive those cars. So only get the cars or the cabinets that you want to use. And if you're looking to pick up something as a collector's piece, maybe you shouldn't do that. But do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. That's fine. I will say this: there are cabinets out there that are picked up primarily for collectors. This one right here. Boop. Namely, and that actually leads me to one of my next questions. The Arcade Fever wrote Egret 2 or New Astro City, and why, referring to the two cabinets behind me. I'll tell you this. I've owned, let me tell you the story about my New Astro City. It was 3 days after the third Lemon Drop was born, and I had actually been given this opportunity 6 to 8 months prior. This won't stay on. I had been given the option about 8 months prior to buy a New Astro City from a dude in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of the state of Nevada. And I was ready to go, money was primed, and then found out that I was expecting the third Lemon Drop. So decided to put that back on the back burner. 3 days after the Lemon Drop was born, I worked out a deal with the dude, and I went out and I picked up my New Astro City with my best friend, and drove out there, made a day trip of it, drove back, ended up getting 2 stools from a Japanese arcade with it as well, for a really, really, really good deal, including gas. It was just way too good to pass up. The Egret 2 I picked up from a friend of mine who bought it from a distributor in Southern California, and he offered it to me, and I had been kind of wanting an Egret 2 primarily because, it's an Egret 2, dude. Everybody wants an Egret 2. So I picked it up, and I had it brought over to where I lived a few years ago, and it sat in the garage for a couple of months until we moved. And I've had it inside the house ever since. It's a great cabinet. They are basically the same cabinet. Basically. Except the New Astro City does not tip over easily, like at all. So the the way that Sega designed the New Astro City is so that the base is big enough so that it doesn't tip over if you put a little weight on the control panel. I don't know if you guys recall, but a few months ago, my youngest, nope, Lemon Drop number 3, tipped it over, and obviously I was really freaked out, really worried. Everything was fine. So the Egret 2 tips over easily. Yeah, it has a rotate mech, which is cool, but the thing is, you still have to unscrew like 9 separate screws around the bezel, rotate the bezel, screw those screws back in. And it's got the exact same monitor, it's got different wiring. I know that if you play Michael Jackson's Moonwalker in the cabinet, you have to rewire the JAMA harness to make sure that positive 5 goes to all 4 terminals instead of just 3. So the power is one of those things as well. Everything said, the my favorite would have to be the New Astro City. I really like it. It is set up with standard Sega parts, so you can pretty much throw any control panel from any Sega cabinet on there you want. It's wired up for harnesses that are easy to get a hold of. From me, maybe, or from Windy Gaming, which is from me, or and it's just easier to get parts for. I had said before, don't get a collector's cab if you're unwilling to be patient and look for parts. And the Egret 2 right here is one of those cabinets. It's ludicrous. The Translight for the Egret 2 marquee along the top, one of those sold, a new old stock, sold for $700 on eBay. $700. That's more money than 2 of my candy cabinets combined that I picked up. It's ridiculous. So these are the type of things you need to keep in mind. So the answer to that question is new Astro City. All the Egret 2 is a new Astro City with a rotate mech. So if you want to pick one up, great. Be ready to pay through the nose for parts if you can find them. Whereas with the new Astro City, there's parts all over the place. Those are easy to get. So, all right, next question. This question comes from the Mr. Falcon, good friend of mine. He says, "Why are your cabinets always turned off?" I can make up a lot of excuses for that. They're turned off because nobody ever comes over to play games with me. Tear. Realistically though, this room is really tiny. Yeah, it's in the basement, but it gets really hot really fast. So if I'm doing a video like this, I usually don't have things turned on. Plus there's a lot of background noise, hums, fans, that type of thing that can interfere with the microphone and the camera. Also, I don't know how much you can see of the cabinets. You can see my Egret 2. My Egret 2 currently is having a power supply problem and keeps popping fuses, so I'm thinking that the power supply might have an issue. So I'm gonna pick up a new power supply when I go to California Arcade Extreme, or California Extreme at the end of this month. I'll talk about that in a second. So, even if I could turn on the one that you can see, I can't. So, and the reason why I don't have the rest of them turned on is because you can't see them. But you can see this, right? Right? All right. Next question. This one is, this is from Dino Sarman 83, or Dinosaur Man, depending on how you read it. It says, "What was the first cabinet and PCB you bought? Do you still have them?" So this is a multifaceted question, so I'll go down the first things first. What was the first cabinet and PCB I bought? Okay, so true story. When I wanted to get into arcade collecting, I was an incredibly fierce Dreamcast fan. So I had tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of Dreamcast stuff, and I would just buy stuff and collect it, say, oh, that's nice, put it in the closet and let it sit there. And I rapidly realized that I was more hoarding Dreamcast stuff rather than enjoying it. So I started selling my Dreamcast collection off. I started with a piece of the Dreamcast development kit. I actually wish I still had that. That's one of the things I regret letting go, but I sold it to a dude in Italy. How I got that, it's actually a completely different story for another day. So I started off with that, and then I sold a bunch of games, and then I sold a bunch of hardware, and then I would go to local flea markets and thrift stores and buy things, and then you sell them on eBay so that I can make money. Finally, I had enough money. I talked with Ken at thegameroom.com and purchased a Blast City from him, and I still have that Blast City to this day. It's right here. Maybe I'll show you. Hang on. Ta-da! Right there. And yes, it's turned off. It's totally turned off. I still have my Blast City. What was the first PCB I ever bought? It was a Quiz and Dragons Dragons, yeah, it was a Quiz and Dragons board by Capcom on CPS-1 that I got from a guy on the Neo Geo forums, Mega Graffin, and it was in exchange for a JAMA Genesis repair that I did. So one of Aloisi's freaking awesome specials. Yeah, Aloisi. So he had sent that to me. I fixed it for him, and he was like, look, I've got this Quiz and Dragons board. I'm not going to play. It's already had the battery fixed on it, so here you go. So I played through it a couple of times, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. It's like mid-90s trivia, really awesome, and then I got bored with it, so I sold it. So first cabinet, I still have. First board, not so much. So, and that's what you do. You play a game for a while, you don't want it anymore, you let it go, you know. But I let it go for a relatively good price, you know, what I thought my time was worth working on the JAMA Genesis that he had sent me. So that was 5 years ago. Holy cow, 5 years ago. Yeah. All right, so final question that Dinosaur Man has was, would you do me? Well, if you took me out on a nice date, you know, nice steak dinner, and took me for a nice romantic walk around the park, I could maybe see that. I don't know. Take me out to dinner, we'll see where it goes, brother. Alright, so that's everything on Instagram. Let's hit Facebook. So Kelvin Lim asks how to store PCBs, and he shows a picture of his PCBs basically sitting in boxes just on the floor. So there's two ways that this can be interpreted. How do you store PCBs physically in a box? Or how do you store PCB boxes? Like, what do you use to store it? So my take on this is, if it works, it works. As long as you're making sure that the PCBs aren't bouncing around inside a box, that's great. That said, priority mailboxes, if you're on a budget and you don't want to go out and buy really expensive boxes, are your best friend. Because they're just about the same size as anything, you know, area, volume-wise. They're also tall enough to allow for it to be wrapped in bubble wrap. So basically rub it in bubble wrap, wrap it in bubble wrap, throw it in the box, and then if you have the space for it, I like getting those wire shelves from IKEA, the ones that you basically, you have the poles and then you put the shelves down in the poles and you wedge them in those little plastic things, and store them that way. If you don't have them, if you don't have enough room to do that, try and find like a cabinet of some type, like an actual like entertainment center or something, and stack stuff inside there. I'd show you my closet where I have my stuff stacked. This particular cabinet that I have was made for like entertainment, like stereo equipment / DVD player, stuff like that. So it would go back here. So yeah, just get some shelves, put them on it. If you feel like you want to like divide the shelves up with so it only has enough room to put boards in, yeah, you could do that too. That's good. Just whatever works. Personally, I don't stack stuff on top of it like this because it makes it difficult to like slide things out and have it drop down, and you could probably like shift something and break something. It doesn't work. I have it standing on its side, so that all I have to do is just pull it out like that. So there you go. That's how I store my PCBs. Next question. This is from a dude named Fog A. Mersix. He says, can you make an adapter to use Sega Saturn controllers on a Sega Genesis? I get this question a lot. Not this particular question, but questions like that. Where it's like, hey man, can you make X to go with Y? Or can you do this, that, and the other? Hey, I'm interested in you making this. Can we do this? Do you still do this type of stuff? The answer is yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, let's talk about it. All of the stuff that I make is by commission. So I make stuff only if people say, hey, will you make me this? So I don't have a lot of stuff hanging out on hands. There will be times where I just catch a wild hair and I've got nothing to do and I sit and make wiring harnesses for different cabinets. So the wiring harnesses are probably something I have on hand, or maybe have something on hand, but the adapters are definitely things that I don't have on hand. Primarily because that's a lot. Oh, flip. I just got an email. The wiring harnesses are something that I have on hand. The adapters aren't, primarily because the adapters cost a lot of money to out of my own pocket to have made beforehand, and people might not buy them. So with that said, I do take commissions. If you want me to make something, we'll talk about it. I'll try and get a parts cost plus labor analysis done for you. I do require money up front 100%, primarily because I have had people give me the money for parts and then never come back. So I'm left with something that was made specifically for them that I'm probably not going to be able to resell. So that has happened a few times. So 100% money up front. I'll try and get it taken care of ASAP. Like I said in a previous video, things are crazy with my life right now. I'm trying to like dig myself out, and it's getting to the point where I can actually like breathe. So short answer, yes, I will make that. Long answer, talk with me before, but I can probably make it. We need to discuss the terms of the project, the stuff that you're looking for, the things that I can do. I can do a lot of stuff. I'm not a magician. So, all right. Final question from Facebook. How did you become so damn handsome and such an arcade entrepreneur? This is from my buddy, Jacob Wright. Now, Jacob Wright's my real life buddy. By the way, me and Black Ice miss you, brother. So, how did you become so damn handsome? Good genes? Maybe? I definitely was the best lemon on the tree, best looking lemon on the tree, if that means anything. So, definitely hit the genetic jackpot in that regard. I mean, you should have seen me my teenage years. My mask was coming in. I just looked like a gigantic goofball, the weirdest guy ever. But like after, you know, my helmet came in and mask, I actually started looking pretty nice. This is a question that wasn't on the thing. A buddy of mine, gosh, I don't know how he says it. Atrofate or ATR Fate, from the and Corey from the Arcade Projects forums. Both were like, "So you're doing a question and answer period, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing it." It's like, "Oh, okay. What's up with the mask?" And I was like, "What mask?" But obviously I wear a mask. You know, I have acknowledged it in the past. I acknowledged it like 5 seconds ago. That's a story for another day. So, no, well, why do I wear the mask? That's actually a very personal question. Maybe one day I'll tell you guys. But, my friends know why. So, anyway, thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it. I have a couple of different little series of videos that I've got brewing in my nugget here. Trying to find the time to put those together, especially during the summer when things are crazy, is going to be a little difficult for me. But I would like to put together a video log of some type, maybe a once week thing where I just talk about stuff, arcade stuff. There is a series of videos that I'd like to do that highlight different arcade sticks for you guys who play fighting games on consoles. And to give you my personal feel about, you know, the modability of particular sticks. I managed to grab a Make stick from Focus Attack now that they're selling those. And I have a Project Fierce stick from Windy Gaming coming to me here in about a month and a half, or whenever they start shipping. So I'll probably go over those first. I do have a bunch of other sticks myself, TE2, I've got a Fight Stick Pro, the Hello Kitty edition, and a couple of other ones. So we'll go over that. talk about modability, talk about the drawbacks, talk about the pluses, that type of thing. So, yeah. One thing I would like to end with is I will be going to California Extreme at the end of the month. It is the 29th through the 30th, so Friday and Saturday. Is it the 29th and 30th? Yeah, nope, it's the 28th and the 29th. But I will be in the San Francisco area probably the 27th through the 31st. So if you guys happen to see me at the expo, or if you want to hang out, shoot me a message, let me know. I'm cool for hanging out. Provided you're not a weirdo. Are you a weirdo? Okay, just checking. I do have another video coming up as well, where I'm going to be interviewing the developers for Cosmotron. It's another indie video game that is also going to be at California Extreme, but hopefully I'll be able to interview them while they're here, visiting my local arcade, the Game Grid Arcade. So here's hoping that I can get an interview with them and a video up before California Extreme. So, that's it. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram at @LemonyVengeance, or on Twitter at @LemonyVengeance, or on Facebook, facebook.com/LemonyVengeance. So yeah, thank you very much and happy gaming.